You're listening to Myers-Briggs Question Corner with Edythe Richards.
Today's question is from Joanna, who has INFP Myers-Briggs preferences. Joanna is married to Steve, who has ESTJ preferences. Joanna asks, what are some challenges typical of an INFP ESTJ pairing, and what suggestions do you have to overcome these challenges and to have a happy relationship? So let me start by saying that it's my belief as a psychometric practitioner that any two healthy, well-developed people of any Myers-Briggs types can have a successful relationship. While the Myers-Briggs may be useful in predicting some of the joys and challenges that various relationships will face, there's no completely accurate method for predicting relationship success with any assessment or tool. Personality is such a complex topic, and as much as some people would like to believe otherwise, personality isn't quantifiable or diagnosable. Now, with any two types who are complete opposites, like INFP and ESTJ, there are bound to be challenges, but also some great things. It's said that opposites attract, and this natural chemistry may be precisely why this type pairing initially got together. Joanna's ESTJ husband was probably drawn to her natural warmth and authenticity, characteristics of INFP types. Joanna was probably drawn towards Steve's ability and tendency to plan and organize, particularly with socializing events that the two of them can enjoy together. The greatest opportunities for personal growth come from a relationship with someone who's very different. I'd first like to talk about the satisfying parts of the ESTJ and INFP pairing, and then the challenges, closing with my recommendations for communication strategies for ESTJs and INFP relationships. It's my hope that this podcast will help all ESTJs and INFPs communicate well, whether they're in romantic relationships like Joanna and Steve, family relationships, friends, or even colleagues. So let's start with the good stuff. Because ESTJs and INFPs have no Myers-Briggs letters in common, this is an opportunity to complement each other. While humans are attracted to their opposites, it's often because of their differences. ESTJs may thus be drawn towards an INFP's compassionate and nurturing personality. Steve may realize with Joanna that he's able to have a truly unique, personal, and deep connection with his partner. Joanna probably is there to provide him a listening ear whenever he needs encouragement and comfort. Moreover, as an INFP, Joanna naturally thinks outside the box and is open to new perspectives that Steve may not have considered. ESTJs, like Steve, will appreciate the stability that comes with knowing his INFP partner is always going to be there for him. For her part, Joanna may have initially been attracted to Steve due to his dependability and outgoing personality, but she will likely come to appreciate his keen organization skills, his focus, and clear sense of purpose. INFPs like Joanna have cited their ESTJ partner's determination to help them become more outspoken, more decisive, and objective as key factors in their personal and professional growth. In short, on some level, we're drawn to our partners precisely because we may see things in them that we don't see in ourselves. With our opposites, we do or try things we might not otherwise, or open up in ways we might not otherwise. Now, let's talk about some of the challenges. Like any two opposites, INFPs and ESTJs have periodic or perhaps even frequent misunderstandings. In my opinion, these misunderstandings are likely to center around two potential issues of strife: making plans and coming to closure, or different needs for communication. Let's take a closer look at the first area, which involves differences in lifestyle orientations, organizing, planning, and coming to conclusions. ESTJ's focus will be on the immediate problem, and they'll want tangible, not theoretical results. They typically like to make set plans and work on achieving them without veering off the path. They see the world in black and white, and thus they'll see a task through before moving on to the next one. If the INFP interrupts her partner to share an idea, the ESTJ may get frustrated if he's in the middle of something. ESTJs like predictable schedules. They're ruled by clocks and calendars. They prefer to make decisions straight away rather than leave things hanging. For example, ESTJs want a clean, well-organized home. They may be frustrated by their INFP partner's more casual attitude about putting things away or not planning ahead. For ESTJs, household chores need to be completed first before they can relax. Similarly, ESTJs are practical and realistic. They therefore may not understand the INFP's inquisitive personality or their need to explore possibilities before coming to closure. Additionally, ESTJs may not see the wider ramifications of their straightforward actions. Because they're attuned to present realities, ESTJs may not be as future-focused as their INFP partners, or they may veer ahead with their plans if they think things are going fine. In contrast, the INFP may have a harder time, at least outwardly, in making decisions, or may take an unusually long time to come to a decision as they need to explore their options. As a result, INFPs may feel pushed into making a decision before they're ready. INFPs also don't have the need for a set schedule the way that ESTJs do. They'll eat when they're hungry, even if it's at a different time every day. Rather than being motivated by calendars and deadlines, INFPs are more motivated by their own inspiration and use their intuition as a guide. This is difficult for most ESTJs to understand, as they tend to be logical and practical. Whereas INFPs see change as generally positive and an opportunity, ESTJs tend to be more conservative and traditional. ESTJs, who tend to expect the rest of the world to be like them, may want to organize their INFP partners. But INFPs are on a perpetual path of discovery for themselves and others, and will most likely be energized by change, as it will allow them to experience a different aspect of life. So here are some strategies that may help Joanna and Steve and other ESTJ INFP couples, friends, or coworkers who are experiencing misunderstandings related to planning and closure. ESTJs, and Steve, I'm talking to you here. Be patient and supportive, and understand that your INFP partner isn't trying to be difficult by taking an unusually long time to decide or complete a task. Your INFP's unfinished tasks, nebulous ideas, or random bursts of energy are all a part of who he or she is, and being authentic and true to him or herself is extremely important to your INFP. So don't be hard on your INFP and don't expect too much. Always appreciate and verbally acknowledge them for their efforts. Now, if you want to offer some constructive feedback, it's best to do it in a positive or even an indirect way. INFPs can't stand criticism, no matter how constructive, and I'll talk more about this shortly. So say something like, "This is really great. Maybe next time you could try that." Or, "Nice job with ABC. Have you ever tried XYZ?" INFPs, and Joanna, this is for you. Initiating chores around the home, cleaning and organizing, and finishing projects that you start will go a long way with your ESTJ partner. Respect your ESTJ's routine and don't disrupt his or her important habits or traditions. ESTJs typically do a lot to have both a comfortable and orderly home and quality time for vacations or social events. This is how your ESTJ shows how much he or she cares, so acknowledge these tangible contributions. ESTJs have a greater need to be out and about in the world, socializing and mixing with others, more so than INFPs do, so there's no need to get upset by this. Trust your ESTJ, but if you want to know what's going on with them or who they're talking to, just ask. Be direct. And remember that you don't have to do everything with your ESTJ partner, though he or she would love to have you beside them. Now, the second area of potential frustration for ESTJs and INFPs involves their different needs for communication. This can be a contentious issue because these two Myers-Briggs types could not be more different in this regard. ESTJs are pretty outspoken people and may have been described as domineering or even bullying. They may interrupt or talk about things too directly for their INFP partners. They tend to expect immediate action, often before their INFP partners have processed what they've said. ESTJs are logical and matter-of-fact, wanting to fix problems quickly, and this can come across as blunt or insensitive to the INFP. On the other hand, INFPs have a strong need for an emotional connection, and what they really want is for their ESTJ partners to provide unconditional support and encouragement. Therefore, they are apt to become hurt by what they may see as critical comments and reactions. INFPs are extremely sensitive, and they tend to be extremely hard on themselves. So the ESTJ tendency to point out flaws and face conflict head-on makes things even worse for the INFP. In their book, Just Your Type, Paul and Barbara Teeger state, INFPs want partners who are eager and willing to have a harmonious relationship, while ESTJs want a partner who is willing to be honest even when things are unpleasant. No wonder this is a touchy subject for these two Myers-Briggs types. I'm going to share some strategies for both ESTJs and INFPs that they can use to better communicate with their opposite. ESTJs. One of the best things that you can do when things get difficult is to try to remember to use a pleasant tone of voice, even if you're criticizing. Remember how sensitive your INFP is. If you offer no positive words at all, or if you're too blunt or forget to compliment them on all of their great qualities, communication difficulties in your relationship will persist. It is very difficult for ESTJs to communicate feelings as well as abstract ideas. So my advice is to prepare in advance to tune in to your INFP's style. Let's face it, ESTJs, you are not always right. However inefficient or disorganized you think your INFP is, his or her feelings are still valid. Remember also that your INFP will curl up further into their shell if whatever you're trying to discuss is only practical and mundane. Talk about some ideas, and above all, be sure to acknowledge his or her feelings and empathize. I can't stress how important empathy is to your INFP. Your INFP wants a partner who loves them unconditionally, so give them lots of genuine compliments and thank them out loud when they do something you like. Praise their efforts and their accomplishments. Finally, he or she will also need ample time to process any advice you give them, so don't expect results straight away. Now, INFPs. Don't expect your ESTJ to intuitively get you or read your mind. It's important to be direct with them. Remember, they are attuned to what's real and tangible, not inferences and abstract concepts. This means that when you're upset, say something in a straightforward way with no preamble. When you did ABC, it made me feel XYZ, even if you didn't mean it that way. Don't hold it in, but don't snap at them either, or bring too much emotion into a conversation. Try to remain calm and tactful, but direct. ESTJs can be negatively affected by emotional outbursts, and you'll seldom get the results you want from your ESTJ if you're in a heated emotional state. As much as you can, listen to your ESTJ partner to understand, not to respond. Try to hear what he or she is saying without getting defensive. Calmly explain your point of view in a logical way. If you do this over time, you'll notice that your ESTJ incorporates your feedback into conversations. When this happens, acknowledge their efforts and let them know you appreciate all that they do. This is especially true of their tangible efforts. The efforts your ESTJ makes to spend quality time together is probably how they show their affection and love. Now, you also don't have to rely on your ESTJ for everything. It's important for you to keep your own friends and acquaintances who get you, to whom you can connect in your own way. Now, very important, don't dwell on issues and beat yourself up about things that have gone wrong. Move on. When things go wrong with an ESTJ and INFP pairing, it often revolves around communication. Trying unsuccessfully to understand each other, not listening to each other. For both my ESTJ and INFP listeners, take a time out. When you're both calmer, regroup and make sure you hear what your partner is saying, and check to be sure you understand. Think about how important the issue is to you and to your partner. Remember that you're two very different personalities with different priorities and needs. Taking these small steps can go a long way in building a successful and satisfying relationship. Thank you for the question, Joanna.
Thanks for listening to this episode. If you'd like to hear more, or you'd like to submit a question yourself, then you can find us at www.atopcareer.com. Until next time. MBTI and Myers-Briggs are registered trademarks of the MBTI Trust.